Hello traders and welcome to the real-time supply and demand video. In this video we're going to talk about using the supply and demand tool and the benefits and application of using it to trade the CL. Let's talk about this market's vitals. First of all, the market name is crude oil futures. The ticker symbol is CL. The roll cycle is either monthly, bi-monthly, or quarterly. Now if you want some more information on the roll cycle, go ahead and please click on the link located on this page. Tick value is $10 per tick. The cash open is at 9 a.m. Eastern Time. The cash closes at 2:30 p.m. Eastern Time. The high volume times are from 5:30 a.m. to 2:30 p.m. Eastern Times. And the night session, which is also tradable, is from 6 p.m. to 5:30 a.m. Eastern Time. The important news events that can affect this market is the EIA weekly reports, the API weekly reports, OPEC meetings, refinery capacity reports, GDP, nat gas inventory reports, weather, world events, import and export policy changes. As a reminder, trading does carry significant risk, and all information in this video is provided for educational purposes only and does not offer or recommendation to trade futures, stocks, options, or Forex. Let's talk about some of the key features of this tool. First of all, it marks zones or areas of extreme supply or demand. It has the ability to customize to any chart type, any time frame, or any market, including futures, ETFs, stocks, and Forex. This is what the real-time supply and demand tool looks like on crude oil. You'll notice these zones down here. These green zones are demand zones. This zone here is as well. This is a supply zone, and these are supply zones here as well. Now, what these demand zones, these dark green ones, means that it has been created but has not been retested yet. Created and not retested. The light green mean has been created and prices moved out of the box and came back and retested it and started to move off here. Again, retested here and here. Same thing for the supply zones. It means the supply zone was created but not retested. In this case, the supply zone was created here and then moved out of it and then came back and retested shortly thereafter and made it a lighter red. You also have a convenient button right here, so you can go ahead and hide the zones or show the zones just by left-clicking on this button. So how can this indicator help you with your trading? Well, the real-time supply and demand tool calculates imbalances from volume, blocks of volume, and order flow activity. So a very important distinction here is that it's not simply based on price, it is based on volume along with price. Now this helps you measure and visually identify a key point within the market. Now here's a few uses you can use the supply and demand tool with: trade setups and trigger. So this can be used as a system by itself, just as a simple price action system. And I'll focus on the couple of these most recent setups over here. So you can see the demand zone being created here. And you want to see price move out of it pretty aggressively and then come back shortly after within a few bars, retest it, and give you a nice little long trade here. The same thing for a supply zone. The supply zone was created here. Let's go ahead and zoom in on this one here. It was created here. Price moved out of it and then came right back and retested it here and then gave you a great opportunity to go ahead and go short this market. So when you see these quick retests, a nice bullish move or nice bearish move out and then a quick retest of it, these are good opportunities, great opportunities to go ahead and take a trade and trade a buy system by itself. Now support and resistance. As you can see here, acts as really good support here in the demand zones and really good resistance here when it comes to supply zones. As a matter of fact, many traders use supply and demand simply just for that. Risk to reward analysis, so you can know right away how much you're going to have to risk per trade. There's another function I'll show you there in the tool settings where you can actually see how much ticks or how many ticks wide this box is, so you know exactly how much you're going to have to risk. But if you're long, simply put your stop below the demand box, and if you are short, you go ahead and put your stop right above the supply box. Sentiments. So you can look at a chart pretty quickly and understand if it is very bullish or very bearish. Or in this case here, when you see a lot of red zones here and green zones in equal proportion here, then you would assume that this market is more of a range-bound market, so you have to trade accordingly. But if you see a lot of green zones, you'd expect bullish. If you see a lot of red zones, you'd expect more of a bearish market. So now let's go ahead and transition into a chart, and I'll show you how to set this up. So we're going to right-click and then go into Indicators. Let's go ahead and go down to the NCAT tools here. Go to RSD, which stands for Real-Time Supply and Demand. Go ahead and load that in and hit OK. And bam, there you go. You have the tool loaded up and ready to go. And you can go ahead and left-click on this button to hide the zones or go ahead and show it as well. Let's go and talk about some of the settings here. And actually, before we do that, let's go ahead and move over a little bit. And what you have here at the top, you have extend zone minutes set to 60. You can put this at 240 and click on the extend zone button here and click apply, and that'll go ahead and push these zones out so you can, when you're doing your chart work, you can see projections out where these zones could possibly be. Go ahead and change that back to normal. Going to no weak zones here, so if you want to see weak zones, don't think you'll have any pop up here. But if there's any weak zones, you can go ahead and uncheck that and see the weak zones. I don't like to see them, so I'll leave that checked. Recolor Retouch means that when the price in a zone is created, if you want these to stay dark green or dark red, these supply and demand zones, you can go ahead and do Recolor Retouch, and they'll just stay dark green or dark red. Recolor Weak Retouch, if you want to see those weak zones recolored when they get retouched, you can go ahead and check that off here as well. The important one here is time frame type and time value. So every time, these are 10-minute supply and demand zones, and every time you're on a time frame, it's going to go ahead and reflect whatever time frame that you're on. So if you go to 5-minute, these will be 5-minute supply and demand zones. However, if you want to go to, let's say on a 10-minute and you want to see 60-minute supply and demand zones, instead of loading up another chart or having two charts, you can go ahead and put 60-minute here, change this to minute. And now what you're seeing is 60-minute supply and demand zones on a 10-minute chart. If you go to 5-minute, 15, or 20-minute, they're always going to be 60-minute. You can change the time frame here if you like under time frame value, but that's an important distinction there. You can go ahead and put it back to chart period. Click apply, and now every time you change a chart time frame, the supply and demand zones will go ahead and update. Input series setup and visual, you want to go ahead and leave the same. Colors, you want to go ahead, if you want to make any changes here in regards to the color of the boxes, you can do all that here. Under draw text, you have the main edge price, which are these prices right here. So this is the top of the box for the demand zone, the bottom of the box for the supply zone. If you want to see the other side of price here, the top of the box and the bottom, you can go ahead and do far edge price. Zone height, you can go ahead and click apply. And what this will do is especially useful for risk reward. It tells you how, instead of doing the calculation here, it does it for you. So it tells you how far or how wide or how high these boxes are. So it's 32 ticks wide here in this case, 16 ticks here, 18 ticks here. So again, quick reference for risk reward. Now, if you want an email every time a supply or demand zone is created, it's very important. You have to put your email into each one of these boxes here. If you don't, you will not go ahead and trigger that email. So put your email in for email address for supply zone and demand zone if you want those emails every time a zone is created. Audible alerts for demand and supply zones are located here in the drop-down menu. You just go ahead and click on this drop-down and pick whichever file that you like. Same thing for supply. And then once you're done, go ahead and click OK. And you're all set up and ready to go. So thank you for watching this video. I hope you found it helpful, and happy trading.